Hello, my name is Chris Bonachea, and this is Herzing Talk for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion class. Let's begin by understanding what oppression and alienation really mean. Oppression refers to the systemic and institutionalized mistreatment of individuals based on their social identity, such as race, ethnicity, or immigration status. Alienation is the feeling of being disconnected or estranged from the society or the people around you. In the Cuban community, particularly in Florida, these experiences are both historical and ongoing. Cuban immigrants have historically faced discrimination not just from broader society but even within their own immigrant community, depending on their immigration status, political views, or whether they came by land or sea. A study by the Pew Research Center revealed that Hispanic individuals in the U.S. experience higher rates of discrimination, and this is especially true for Cuban families, who are often caught between their desire to preserve their cultural identity and the pressures to assimilate into mainstream American society. But the oppression does not stop there. In addition to racial or cultural discrimination, language barriers are a major issue. Many Cuban immigrants, particularly those who arrived in the 1980s or earlier, still face difficulty accessing basic services because they don't speak fluent English. This alienates them further, often trapping them in low-wage jobs without access to healthcare, proper education, or career advancements. The Rodriguez family, who I used to know, Ana and Luis Rodriguez, both in their 50s, came to Florida from Cuba in 1994 during the Cuban Special Period. They arrived seeking economic opportunities and the freedom to build a future for their children. However, their hopes were soon met with alienation. Despite being in Florida, a state with a large Cuban population, they still faced discrimination, both overt and subtle. Ana, who worked in a bakery, often overheard derogatory comments about her accent or about her foreignness, even from other Cuban Americans who had been in the U.S. for longer. Luis, who worked in construction, faced wage disparities and limited job opportunities because he wasn't fluent in English. But the alienation wasn't just about the lack of understanding from others. It was also about their internal struggle. Luis didn't want to speak up about the unfair treatment because he feared losing his job, and Ana felt disconnected from her community because the struggle to assimilate and keep up with the changing society was overwhelming. Over time, this feeling of isolation started to take a toll on their mental and emotional health, contributing to a sense of invisibility and frustration. Their children, on the other hand, felt torn between the two worlds: the traditional Cuban culture their parents held dear, and the mainstream American culture they were exposed to at school. The result was a constant push and pull between wanting to belong and feeling like an outsider. So what can we do to address oppression and alienation for families like the Rodriguez family? As behavioral health professionals, we need to create inclusive spaces where cultural identity is celebrated and not erased. We need to ensure that immigrant populations, including Cubans, feel that they are welcome and valued in their communities. One key step is to advocate for policies that address the unique challenges faced by Cuban immigrants, particularly around immigration status and language access. By supporting more inclusive policies, whether related to healthcare, education, or legal services, we can help alleviate some of the structural oppression they face. We also need to work toward cultural competency in our practices, learning about the experiences of Cuban families, about their history, values, and the complexities of their immigration stories will help us provide more empathetic and effective care. This includes offering services in Spanish, understanding the cultural nuances of their identity, and recognizing the psychological toll of alienation. As future or current behavioral health professionals, to consider how you can help dismantle the systems that perpetuate oppression and alienation for families like the Rodriguez family. It is not just offering service, it's about advocating for change, fostering inclusion, and ensuring that every person, regardless of where they come from, feels seen, heard, and respected. So, what will you do to make sure Cuban families and other immigrant communities no longer feel isolated or oppressed? The Cuban community, along with all immigrant communities, deserve to live in a society where they are valued and treated with dignity. As we move forward, let's commit ourselves to address the oppression and alienation they face and work to build a future where everyone belongs.